All right, so it is 7:01. We'll call the May 22nd, 2017 Finance Committee to order. We are being recorded by Area 58. On the agenda tonight is mail, reserve fund transfers, line item transfers, meeting minutes, recap of town meetings, suggestions for next year's summer schedule, public participation, and adjournment. So this meeting will last like 4 hours, I'm sure. 4 hours on 4 hours. So mail, we have a copy of the Beacon. If anybody would like to read that afterwards. And then reserve funds / line item transfers, we have one. This is a line item transfer in the amount of $6,000 from the trash collection disposal. Budget amount for this year was $225,921. Current balance in this account is $64,813. Reason for the excess balance in this account is trash tonnage was lower than expected. 2. Center expenses. I'm assuming this is recycle center. The budget amount for this fiscal year was $21,400. The current balance in this account is $135. The reason for the projected deficit in this account, the increase of single stream tonnage from curbside recycling. I budgeted $4,500 for disposal of recyclables, and $5,936 was spent on disposal in the first 6 months of the fiscal year. When I did the budget, I did not have the new truck operating long enough to know this. For the FY 2018 budget, I budgeted $12,600. So, that should be fine if it was just under $6,000 for 6 months of the fiscal year. So, the upcoming year should be fine. So the amount requested is $6,000 from the trash disposal to the center expenses, which is the recycling single stream cost line. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? No? Okay, it's unanimous. We'll sign it. Hey, actually.
Might as well keep up the trend. Pink looks good on you, Gordon.
Doesn't bother me. I still, even after you gave me a pen, I still took her pen at the table at town meeting.
Figures.
Thanks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, meeting minutes.
I have 3 sets. One we couldn't vote
Probably still can't
for, we
vote,
still
right?
can't. Linda, Stu, Melinda, and Bill.
All right, can't do that one.
And then the other 2 are the 6th
Okay.
and the 10th.
Okay. Okay, so the Thursday, April 6th meeting, everyone was present. So everyone had a chance to review. Is there a motion to accept the meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimous. Okay, the
Make
8th.
corrections, right?
Yes.
Oh, did you make?
And I made your corrections.
Cool.
I actually watched the video, the movie.
The movie? It was that good, huh?
It was like a movie. I got some popcorn. Because I actually watched it and made the corrections according to the actual.
Okay, next up we have Monday, April 10th. Myself, Mel, Stu, Diane, Melinda, and Bill were present. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
You can't.
I'll say it.
Oh, why did I second? I'm not on that one? Oh, I'm sorry.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes. You can still sign it.
Thanks.
So next up would be a recap of town meeting. So overall, I thought it went well.
It's great. One night,
Finished in one night.
that went well.
What does everyone else
I
think?
thought it went well. I was expecting 2 nights.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there was only one thing that didn't pass, the HR position.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we can do differently or better next year?
I have some suggestions
Okay,
for specifically as it relates to the capital planning
okay.
process. But I don't know if are we at that part of the agenda?
Yeah, I think so. Didn't sound like there was much of a...
So I'm kind of the new guy, and Sandy's seen this, and I don't want to reinvent the wheel, but I did do some work on what I think an approved process might look like. I don't know if everyone take a look. I have the electronic version, but I actually printed out. Actually,
Pass them down.
just passing these down.
I thought you handed us.
I thought he was too. I was like, wow.
What's about to happen?
This is tied to that. You know, we'll talk to that at the
Yeah.
end.
Just an extra.
I thought you were right 4 hours. Stop zipping.
Hey, Stu.
Hi, Stu.
Hi.
Hi, Stu.
How's everybody?
Good. How are you?
Good. So, I took a look at some other towns' sites and how they're handling some of this.
Okay.
And I did that because, as you know, I've been on the capital planning committee now for this would be the end of my 2nd year. And I feel like we do a good job for what it is, but I think we can do better in terms of process, of getting robust information, documentation, and then handoff from the department head to capital planning, and from the capital planning to the finance committee.
Okay.
And then a few other observations that kind of stick in my head. I sometimes hear that we can't afford that. I don't believe, and it's just my opinion, I don't believe that that's our function. I think the capital planning role is to determine, is there a need? And what's the best solution to that need? And was all the due diligence done and done properly up front? And then the finance committee, in my opinion, again, their role is to evaluate the recommendation of the capital planning committee, but again, not necessarily agreeing whether it's a need or not. I'm sorry, it shouldn't come down to can we afford it or not. If we determine it's a need, the finance committee's role is to figure out a way to fund it. And that's, so when I did this, that's the perspective that I took.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not sold on all of this, so I'm open to recommendations. This is just the first iteration that I threw out there. What I'd like to do is, this is just printed out in the order in which you would typically see an executive summary, followed by the supporting details. But for this exercise, let's look at the last page first. And the last page is to try to have all of our groups align on what the scoring guidance should be. And I'll explain how that functions on another one of these sheets. But basically, if you give the capital asset item a score of a 1, if the project can be postponed or eliminated from immediate consideration for inclusion in the current capital improvement strategic plan because they don't address an immediate need or have not been subject to robust due diligence or capital planning. And then a 9, I'm just going to do the 2 extremes.
Yep.
The 9 would be projects that cannot be reasonably postponed. These projects will include those necessary to immediately protect the public health or safety, to comply with health or safety regulations of the state or federal government, to alleviate significant financial liability exposure, to provide for the continuation of critically needed town program, or to meet an emergency situation. So again, I'm not bought into all of this. If we need to change the verbiage, this is intended to be set up much like you would see a process failure modes effects analysis, which we use in our industry. We use a 139. I've thrown a 5 in there to give some further granularity. And if you go to the very next page from the back, I've created these capital improvement asset cards, and this would be filled out by my proposal is that these would be filled out by the department head, and the department head would essentially, what's this project title, they define as succinctly as possible what is the capital request. The next editable user-defined fields are the acquisition date, when do you need it? What is the projected useful life? And then the asset expiration date automatically calculates as a function of those two previous cells. The next user-defined field is the description. What do you need? Why do you need it? And make sure that there's a robust justification for why it's needed. I have a little square there to throw a picture of it in there for people that aren't experts in those departments' functions. Sometimes a graphic helps out quite a bit. And then the scoring from the department head. Again, that defaults to the 1359. Once the department head submits this, the capital planner would then review and land on what their recommendation is. It could be a 1359 as well. The finance committee then would do the same exercise. And then the end result is a weighted score. It's 33% of each role, 33% department head, 33% capital planning and finance, to come up with a weighted score, with the highest possible being a 9 and the lowest possible being a 1. And the purpose for that is we can take away, eliminate the what I find to be kind of an arbitrary scoring and ranking process.
Okay.
This automatically says all 9s has to be done, there's no debate. And we can determine what the criteria is. Anything 7 and above needs to be done. And then you know, maybe we talk about how we rank and score the 7s and 8s, but the 9s right off the bat have to be done. And then I just took a stab at the recommended financing for each step of a typical project plan: feasibility, design, in this case land acquisition, construction, furnishing, or equipment, departmental equipment, contingency, and any other ancillary costs. I thought about maybe throwing something in there that on expected annual operating costs, but didn't include that. And then the only editable fields here are the source of funds, and then the projected outlay or expenditure from 2019 to 2026. Obviously, next year this would roll to 2020 to 2027. And then I put down the source of funds. I know Gordon, I emailed you on some of this info, and I've stopped to talk to Sandy. The source of funds legend probably needs to be modified to fit the town of Halifax, but I took a stab on my limited knowledge for the past 4 or 5 months on the finance committee on what those sources might be. So we might want to edit that. And then the next couple cards that you see are just other examples. The card titled General Government Capital Improvement Strategic Plan, which is page 4. That essentially is just the sum total of all the asset cards per department, and there's no editing here. So whenever an asset card is filled out, this table automatically fills out. And where you see the blue highlights on the project title, if you click on this electronically, it'll take you to that asset card for the details if, you know, we're in a quorum, need to have a discussion. And then the blue hyperlink to the Go to Town Summary tab will pull up the town summary, which is pages 1 and 2 and 3. And there I just threw in dummy information. Actually, all this is obviously dummy information, but I threw it in there for visual presentation purposes. And everything that's blue is a hyperlink. In this case, the very first item that says general government subtotal, that'll take you down to the supporting details on the same page that you see here. And if you click on the general government corresponding within the subtotal, it'll actually take you back to the details tab to look at the individual asset cards if that's needed. So the ultimate goal here is to get an 8-year projection and timing, of course, the sequencing and timing, and the amount of any projected capital needs. And I'm hoping that if this is done and effective, then we maybe have this on the Halifax website as a PDF document, so the townsfolk could look at this, so that we don't get in a situation where we've got a $250,000 dump truck that we got to purchase. We could say, well, we've been tracking that for 6 years. You knew it was coming. You had 6 years times however many meetings that we had posted to come and ask questions about it, and there were no questions. And so it kind of, the more information can sometimes eliminate questions, I think, is in my opinion. And then the final thing is, you know, this is what the final report might look like.
Yeah.
Again, I brought my computer to pull it up, but I figured just a hard copy is sometimes better. It's essentially the same, it's not essentially, it is the same information as what we just went through. It's just, what I did is I set up 50 assets per department: general government, culture and education, public safety, fire, public safety, police, things along those lines. And what I was thinking was, and this is totally up to the town, but, you know, we've got the data. If you want to do an executive summary of the overall section, and maybe each department can do a summary of their results for that fiscal year. It's just a suggestion. Definitely not, you can take a look at it.
So the part where the department heads, so when you pull in what we do for town report, or, you know,
Very
because
similar, yeah, very similar. Basically want to support the requests that are being made, and then maybe each department will put a summary of what they're requesting and why, what the results or what their performance was last year, something along those lines. It's not, I'm not saying that has to be done, but other towns are doing something similar. So for me, to be selfish, when I'm sitting in the capital planning next year, or coming up soon, I'd want to go back to the department heads and put some more rigor to the process, because right now I kind of feel like some of it's kind of ad hoc. There's not a lot of planning going on, and I think planning is incredibly important. We need to know what's coming and when. It doesn't have to be right, but it needs to be directional, right? And then if we have like a new cruiser that's due for replacement in 3 years, we know what it costs today, and we can make some assumptions about what it's going to cost in 3 years via an inflation rate or some sort.
I think it sounds like good.
Nice work.
He brought it to me, and I think it looks great. And one thing I did say is the department heads will need to be trained on it. And he said that he would be willing to go out and speak with the department heads, and once I get up to speed, I would be willing to help them with any of it also. So
What program did you?
it
Is
is.
it just in Excel or?
So it's Excel, it's the same version the town uses.
Okay.
There's other changes and tweaks that I want to be made. I don't know if you caught, but like on this where it says next card, it says return to top and take it to the summary for that particular department's budget
Yeah.
or capital request. Then it says next asset card. I'd like to throw in the previous asset card so they can go back and forth. I'd want to make sure that the source of funds legend is appropriate.
Yeah, I know you sent me that, and I was thinking, so when we look at sources of funding, it's either raise and appropriate
Right.
or transfer from free cash or transfer from a different article. And then you have solid waste, water. Because operating revenues and state aid are really the same from our perspective
State
as.
aid is a subset
Right.
of operating revenues.
So
But it
how,
could be a state grant. You could put state grant, because some of these things are like the fire truck that we got.
yeah,
So, the operating revenues, that's raise and appropriate, and state aid, local receipts, all those are included in that.
is there any time that we break, so other than, we have a policy to try to cap the meals tax through for capital. Would we specify that, or would we just say raise and appropriate?
No, you can't specify the meals tax.
Well, just that amount of money, what we did was we didn't put that into the,
Right, because it's part of the local receipts, it is part of the raise and appropriate. So we do have a policy, that's what we want to use that amount, whatever is raised in there, for capital items. So that would come under raise and appropriate.
okay. So I guess change one,
I'm not sure about the EMS revolving, though. What was that?
I think that just passed, right?
Maybe you've seen it in other places.
No, I thought we just voted on it. No? Did we vote on something about
We
revolving
voted
accounts?
on revolving funds, but those aren't used for capital. Those are in and out funds. So if someone pays a fee for a review engineer, and then we pay the review engineer out of that. So that money, the revolving funds wouldn't be used for
Or, you know,
capital.
recreation programs.
Right.
The summer camps run by Youth and Rec, for instance. Money comes in to pay the instructors, money goes out and pays them.
Right.
Okay.
But we do have some of our reserved for appropriation accounts, like the lawn waste fund. So that's, I can work on this.
Work on this one, yeah, I mean, what I was thinking was
Yeah.
initially get buy-in from the finance committee. Next step would get buy-in and alignment from the capital
Yeah.
planning committee, but then I work with Charlie and Sandy to kind of finalize this.
Right.
So the other thing, I don't know if you could add in, would be a scoring per year. So you could capture that data.
Okay.
So that this year, we believe it's a need, but it's not the highest priority out of those items that they're requesting. But the following year, to be able to see that the need has changed, so we can go back and score which needs have actually increased over time.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the cards would be updated every year,
They would
so
be.
they would get new scores every year.
Correct.
But would you keep the same spreadsheet and score that? That's all I'm thinking. Like if you don't have a history field of what the scoring was per year.
I hear what you're saying, you want to know what our initial thought, like for example, if you go to page, the one that says town hall windows, like you wouldn't make that coming into next year, you wouldn't make that a 9 because it's not projected to be needed until 2020.
Yeah.
But next year when we go to do this, that might be a 9. And what you're saying is you want to see the history, it should be a 1, 3, or a 5.
Yeah, to see which
for the prior
items
year.
which items have been pushed off from year to year, because there's nothing saying that it's going to be us in this room. So by giving history to say,
Yeah.
we scored it here, maybe just the previous year score would work.
Okay, that's doable.
That way you get a running data tab.
Yep. Okay.
I think it's excellent. The one thing I did like was the idea that you mentioned that you didn't put in, and that is sustainment cost. So if you're replacing a window and you think you need to paint it in 15 years, halfway through the 30 years, it might be a good idea to, have a number like that plugged in.
Yeah,
At least that somebody's thought through it.
yeah, to be honest, Stu, I actually thought of that after I had already finished it. I'm like, it's 4 hours to fix that.
No, it's a
I'll
good
bring it
idea.
up.
That's a good idea. I think it would.
And I think then on the last page of the town meeting, we've talked about is posting a summary of the upcoming capital items. So a link to this would be more than enough to say, these are the issues for the upcoming years that we've noticed for capital. Check out the documentation, and just putting a link there. Yeah, I mean, if you have gone through and done all this and everything's there, I think just a link to the PDF so people can go and say, all right, here's what they're looking at for the upcoming years. I think that solves that
The same
issue.
department heads too, so that they know, the department head didn't just say, oh, I think I need a dump truck this year.
Yeah.
This has been on the capital plan for the last 5 years. It's been top scores the last 3 years. We really need to replace it. So,
Yeah.
Do you have a date of when the item is created? When the scorecard's created?
So the first year I think is going to be the most brutal because it's going to be a learning curve for the department heads. It's going to have to do a serious internal assessment of what really is a capital item, what do we really need and when, and then assigning a value to that. And it's going to take a lot of time.
But I guess,
And so I guess what I would expect is that once this is done, I would expect that going into perpetuity or until the process is changed, that it's maintained regularly. So that when the capital planning season comes up, we're not scrambling. The
Right.
department heads are maintaining it.
and that acquisition date, like he put it as, this is when we're gonna buy it, but for the current equipment, we would put in the date that it was purchased, which I do have that information because I need to supply that to my auditors.
okay.
Yeah, I've been talking with Sandy and Charlie
Yeah.
about doing a retrospective on a lot of this. I don't have that, that's why it's not shown there, but
Yeah.
to Sandy's point, it would show when it was originally purchased, what the projected useful life was at the time, which we have the data on, I just
Right.
didn't have time to throw it in here.
Okay. I think it looks great.
You did a really good job.
Yeah, great job. Anybody else have any
No, I think it's great.
suggestions? Good job.
Thank you.
Any other suggestions for next year's town meeting? You know, the only thing that we had talked about that we didn't implement was the capital plan items in the back couple pages, so I think this takes care of that. More than what we would
More than
have
what we intended.
printed.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Going after hops.
Anything else for next year? Sandy, do you have anything that,
You got it, this point.
do you think that this town meeting was run from the finance committee
Really well,
pretty well?
yeah.
And you did an excellent job supporting us all year, and thank you very much for doing that. You did too, Kendra, thank you very much. Summer schedule.
As of now, we're off to
So we are now,
October.
so
Oh, probably not, because wage and personnel will be busy.
I tried.
So we are normally scheduled the second and fourth Mondays of the month. So if we look at June, we would be the 12th and the 26th, July 10th and the 24th. So we should plan on meeting on at least July 10th so that we'll be able to do any reserve fund transfers or line item transfers that have to take place before the 15th. Okay. So I would accept a motion to unschedule July 24th from our meeting list, if anybody would make that motion.
I'll make the motion to eliminate July 24th from the schedule.
Okay. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, that's gone. So we would be meeting then August 14th and 28th. And it's up to the,
Sandy, do they have any idea about the special town meeting, about the reclassification?
No.
Okay.
It will depend on the progress from this point on. So,
Okay.
so do we want to cancel August 14th and keep August, yeah, that would still be, that would be the week before Memorial Day. So that would, do we want to kill the 14th or the 28th?
In Labor Day.
Yeah, I said Memorial Day. Well, Memorial Day's come up.
I knew what you meant.
Labor Day is September 4th, so it would be, the 28th is the week before that. So do we want to kill the 14th, and if we have to reschedule due to having a special town meeting, we can always schedule we can always schedule a finance committee meeting. But I would like to open up a month's worth of the summer to everyone, so they don't have to worry about coming here on a Monday night. Do we have a motion to kill the August 14th meeting?
I'll make a motion to cancel August 14th meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, great. And then we just did our summer schedule. So we will be meeting in June on the 12th and the 26th. Those should be short meetings. Do we know who's up for selectmen?
I'm up
Linda
this.
and Bill.
Linda and Bill.
And that meeting is going to be June 13th.
June 13th.
Tuesday, June 13th at 7:45.
Okay, I will attend. So, is there I'm not gonna ask them anything. Is there a motion to support appointments for both Bill and Linda to the Finance Committee?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any abstentions or opposed?
That was fast.
There we go. So I'll make sure I attend that meeting. I don't think you need to attend it. If
Okay.
you'd like to, you can, but seeing that you're already on, I mean, we could ask Charlie. Charlie, does Linda and Bill need to be at the,
Not sure, if they're coming because they're the ones being reappointed, no.
okay. So you guys don't have to go. I'll attend the meeting. Ken will
I will
remind me.
send you a reminder.
We'd be doing this, I believe, on June 13th.
That's what Ken
Yes.
just said.
I don't have an appointment time yet unless you talk to Pam already. and
She
see-
said 7:45.
Okay.
Okay. So that'll be quick. Any public participation?
That was actually it, I wanted to make sure that was gonna get done. 'Cause we wouldn't be meeting until the day before then, I wanted to make sure that it got discussed tonight. So did want to say thank you for all the work you folks did during this winter and spring. I mean, obviously everybody contributed to getting it done at night, but I appreciate that. For no other reason than have the night off the next night.
You didn't have selectmen scheduled for
We
that?
had it scheduled, but we decided to cancel. Lack of business.
And thank you too, Charlie. Okay. Is there anything else that we need to discuss that we didn't? 4-hour meeting, Colleen. 4 hours. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn 7:20. No,
Is there-
actually, it's 7:30.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.